This video is to document my trip to northwestern Minnesota last weekend. The basis of my trip was I was invited to the 2025 Chautauqua Arts Festival at the Old Crossing Treaty Park. Straight from the website, it says, "The Old Crossing Festival of Performance, Demonstrations, and Participation in the Arts takes place at the Old Crossing Treaty Park in Red Lake County, next to the village of Hewitt, Minnesota, along the Red Lake River. Artists at Old Crossing Festival perform music, tell stories, demonstrate artistic crafts, and invite attendees to participate in a variety of artistic activities during this two-day event." Since it had been a while since I was in northwestern Minnesota, I took the opportunity to visit several people and also my Upper Midwest Folk Fiddlers group that's now based in Moorhead, Minnesota. I'm here in lovely Maplewood State Park in Minnesota. I decided to cut my trip in half. I didn't want to do 5 hours of driving in one morning. So, yep, here I am. Last night I was driving here kind of late. I pulled in at 11 p.m. actually because I got a late start yesterday afternoon. But on the drive up here through places like Alexandria and stuff like that, I was following a storm that was happening, but they were just single cells, so there'd be these big purple clouds as the sun was setting, these big purple clouds that would be dropping sheets of rain, and above and below would be the sun, orange, pink, red, all different colors, and as it would kind of be behind the cloud for a little bit, and it would kind of shoot up like halos all over. And while the sheets of rain, you could see kind of through the sheets of rain to the gold behind the sunset, and it was just so beautiful. I probably watched this for like an hour and a half or something like that, you know. And it's fun to watch a long duration sunset because you see it go from high, you know, above the clouds it was at one point, and then slowly going low. And then when it was to its lowest point, it was just this huge fireball. I couldn't take any pictures because I was driving, but it was so beautiful. This is the life, early morning on a beautiful Minnesota lake in this Maplewood State Park. I just don't do enough of these lakes. I've been kind of city bound with my illness, and it's just great to be out here. So quiet, so serene. Nobody's out here. There are some people camp, but nobody's up, and I just got the lake all to myself, and it's just so lovely. The festival itself was like a big tent encampment inside the park, which is on the banks of the beautiful Red Lake River. I'm here at my booth, and I just had a super fun interaction with a 80-year-old lady who she was so excited about the music. She was like, "What's the Schottish again?" And she wanted me to explain her the Schottish, and I started saying 1. You know, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And then I was like, how many Schottish? Do, 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 do. And she started dancing the Schottish, and boy, she must have danced for about 5 minutes, just humming the music and just dancing to herself. It was really fun. While at this festival, I made sure to catch up with the O'Neill Family Band, who was on the Minnesota Fiddle Tunes first CD that I put out many years ago. They are kind of like the old-time family of northwestern Minnesota music, and they play a bunch of different stuff, but I was very interested to learn that they went to Turtle Mountain back many decades ago to study from Mike Kaplan and learn those Turtle Mountain tunes.
Gene and I learned from, many years ago, from a Métis fiddler named Mike Kaplan, and we'll do a couple of Métis tunes throughout the set, here and there. Here's one of them.
also got to catch up with my friend Vidar and hear a concert that he performed at this festival, which is always awesome. I love hearing Vidar. He's from Norway, and now he's living in the upper Midwest, and we are so lucky to have him. He's such an excellent player. Yesterday morning, as I was sitting on the banks of the Red Lake River, I decided that I needed to call my buddy, Hillary Stoltman. It had been 3 or 4 years, and last time I talked to him, he was in his upper 80s, and, I felt bad. I felt bad that it had been so long since I'd talked to him. He's the one who was a great fiddler himself, and then his father was a great fiddler, and he's the one who worked on the railroad for 40 years, but then eventually his hearing gave way from being a fireman on the railroad for so long. So he couldn't play anymore by the time I met him, but he's still just an awesome guy, and he's the one who I transferred all of his father's tapes. His father made all these recordings before he died in 73. He knew he was dying of cancer, and he wanted to record all these tapes. Anyways, that was my last project, was the Stoltman Tune Book, and it was only online. It was a PDF version, but sitting on the banks of the river there yesterday, I decided I needed to call him up and see if he was around. So luckily, he forgave me for not calling him in 3 or 4 years, and we were just like old buds again talking, and he had me come down to up to Thief River Falls to go have dinner with him. He wanted to make me dinner, and his dinners are the best. They really are. But I didn't have a ton of time, so I tried to decline, but then he's like, well, how about salad? And I was like, oh yeah, I can't pass up salad. And of course, his salad was amazingly good. Got there and talked to him and his wife Tootsie, and I didn't realize that they had their 90th birthday party last year. 350 people came to this their birthday party last year, which I think is just amazing in this small little town. And so now they're 91 and doing great. The house is immaculate, and the dinner was awesome, and they're just such wonderful, inviting people, and I really had a good time. And then I had to book it down to Fargo, and the sunset last night was just as beautiful as the other sunsets have been on this trip. But this one was, because this land is so flat up here, northwestern Minnesota, once you get really up in the northwest corner, is just so flat. It was a different kind of sunset. It was like orange across the entire length of the sky, once again probably from the Canadian wildfires. But it was fun to just, you could see across the whole entire skyline because it's so flat and there's no trees, barely any trees. So it was kind of purplish on the very bottom, and then orangish red across the entire skyline. And I probably watched that for an hour on my trip down to Fargo. last night I finally made it to my chapter of the Upper Midwest Folk Fiddlers in Fargo, North Dakota. This wonderful woman, Mary, had been kind of keeping it together up there. And, as many jammers as would show up, she would help lead them through the tune book. And she's been doing that for months up there, and it's been great. But I wanted to go up there and, check it out and try to lend some support. And it was a really great time. I'm so glad that I went. They play the tunes great. My buddy Severin is there. And he's a wonderful young fiddler. He's eating these tunes up, and I'm so proud of him. The Fargo chapter of the Upper Midwest Folk Fiddlers meets on a Monday night, and our home chapter in St. Paul meets on a Tuesday night. So I made the 4-hour drive Tuesday afternoon so I could make it home for the Tuesday night gathering of the Upper Midwest Folk Fiddlers in St. Paul.